Loki has gone from one end of the MCU to the other at this point. What shenanigans can the god of mischief get himself into this time? Find out when Johnnie Torch reviews Loki. This was the Disney MCU show I thought had the least going for it, but it was surprisingly refreshing. WandaVision was good, and this may be because I had people spoil the heck out of it on me, but Loki felt more like something I needed to follow to appreciate. It's not the simple adventure show, it actually needs getting invested in. I really enjoyed the character of Sylvie. True, there were times I could almost feel the collective gnashing of fanboy teeth at her strong whammon moments, but I honestly didn't feel they overdid it. She felt like a natural foil for Loki. She was headstrong and impetuous, and most of the time, Loki, of all people, becomes the voice of reason. I almost wish they made her Enchantress. She was like 90% there, instead of going for the easy joke. Loki so narcissistic he would fall in love with himself. But at the end of the day, it worked. Owen Wilson, who co-stars as Mobius, is one of those guys I never particularly had any opinion on, but he worked out pretty good here. You never quite know what side he'd come down on, and there seemed to be a believability in that. He seems to want to like Loki, but at the same time, he's just by the book enough to know to keep him at arm's length. And there's Hiddleston himself as Loki. My biggest fear for the show was that, much as I love Tom in the role, Loki had been pretty much tapped out. I honestly thought his shtick wore thin even back in Ragnarok. But here he basically managed to give Loki a fresh character arc in 6 episodes. Not a simple feat considering they regressed Loki back to a villain from Endgame, yet they still managed to bring him up to where he was at Infinity War without sacrificing the character progress of the previous films. I kept hoping as the show got closer to the end that they would please just stick the landing. And apart from it being a bit talky in the last episode, obviously setting up both the next season as well as ramifications for the MCU at large going forward, it actually does. The weakness of the series may have been that it was predictable at times. I pretty much called certain things that needed to happen early on. For instance, the TVA didn't create people. Sylvie was going to kill Kang to mess up the timelines. Loki would end up alone, as they telegraphed so many times. And the show also has its share of talky moments. But rather than come across as padding, like the Netflix Marvel shows, these are true character building moments. They aren't boring time wasters just because the show has no budget. Because boy, does this show have a budget big time. This show reminded me of 2 similarly wacky shows that seemed promising but fell to its own indulgences. Like Legion, the show has a broken protagonist who's basically the pawn of a malignant organization, eventually finding love and so forth. Unlike that show, this one is actually fun. The second being Legends of Tomorrow, which also deals with time travel chicanery. However, at some point they've begun to clearly just throw things at the wall in true CW fashion, hoping something will stick for the season. Where with Loki, it does seem like the show has been planned out, at least for the short term. Anyway, there is lots of fun, action, and spectacle. Not sure if it's got that replay power or not, or if they can carry on this level of quality for another season, but I certainly enjoyed it. I'm giving Loki 4 stars out of 5, a B+. Until next we meet, this is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.